Hello everyone. Welcome to Science and Tech series with Dr. Vivek Rana. Hope all of you are doing well and your GS preparation is on right track. Topic for today's discussion is from Science and Tech section. We'll be decoding important theme from biology section, Parthenogenesis. The term was in news this week, so we'll be decoding current aspect as well as the conceptual angle. What does this term means, what is its significance, and what are the sometimes drawbacks or controversies associated with a certain term. So basically, when we are going through NCRTs from 8, 9, 10th, there are two chapters dedicated to reproduction theme, and those chapters more or less cater to the human reproduction angle. So in animal kingdom, we have seen that there are two broad groups, vertebrates and invertebrates. Comparatively, the vertebrates are due to their spinal cord and you could say the development of central nervous system are called higher animals, whereas the invertebrate group are commonly referred as you could say the lower animals. So the mode of reproduction which we mainly study in detail is in context of human beings and mammals. So in a way we can say that sexual reproduction is rule in higher animals, whereas in plants or some you could say microorganisms, asexual reproduction at times is the dominant mode of reproduction. The sexual reproduction is comparatively more complex to study. It has mitosis, meiosis, cell division involved. In meiosis, we seen the chromosome number reduces to the half, and this is where the variations are introduced. More or less, asexual reproduction also has its distinct advantage of rapid multiplication. Now, when we I'm saying vertebrates term, it's broadly referring to the higher groups like Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So generally, we have assumption that in higher animals or species, only sexual reproduction should be the main mode of reproduction. But biology is a science of exception, and the topic which we are decoding today fits rightly into the bill. So the term parthenogenesis is a Greek term which, when broken into its two terms, parthos means you could say virgin, and genesis means birth. So, in more common terms, it is referred as virgin birth. In general angle, if we have to simplify this thing, we can say when asexual reproduction occurs in a sexually reproducing animal, it is referred as parthenogenesis. Now, while doing biotech also, we had discussed how the surrogacy or you could say the in vitro fertilization comes into the picture. In that process, we have seen that there is a male sperm cell when fuses with an egg cell. The resultant cell is called fertilized egg, and or in more simple terms, it is called zygote. So in a sexual reproduction, there is involvement of male and female gamete, and the fertilized egg undergoes development. Now, the topic which we are catering today involves that there is a mode of reproduction in which there is no fusion of male and female gamete. Only the egg cell directly undergoes development without fusion with the male, you could say the sex cell. So this is when there is a asexual reproduction involved and the organisms develop directly into an adult stage, and also is a you could say growing in the normal phase, then we can that is attributed to you could say one of the rarest phenomena seen, parthenogenesis. Even though in lower species, if we study like ant, wasp, honeybees, or aphids, this is a common norm in which we have seen parthenogenesis taking place. In vertebrates, it is one of the rarest of rare phenomena. Only selected examples like zebrafish or some amphibians at times report. There is also an instance of a bird undergoing parthenogenesis. It was reported, the last case reported was California condor. It's a bird which undergoes parthenogenesis. Now, in current, why we are taking up this topic is because recently American crocodile, which is scientifically known as Crocodile acutus, has given a virgin birth. So this is the first ever documented case which has ever been reported in terms of crocodile. Even though crocodile have a reputation of being the most advanced reptile, still the case of this asexual mode of reproduction is rare. because this particular species was introduced in a zoo in Costa Rica when it was just 2 year old. Now, after 16 years, there was no male partner in that zoo. Still, she has given a virgin birth through the means of parthenogenesis. So basically, you have to understand UPSC examiner might frame a question in which of the following organisms parthenogenesis is commonly observed. So you have to say the lower species. Only selectively, a rarest of rare case, some of the, you could say, the fishes, amphibian or reptile may show, because the word will be important, because this is a aberration which takes place. And there are multiple factors which are attributed to parthenogenesis. The first major factor is the climate change. Increase in temperature at times is linked to the, you could say, the sexual cycle of the organism, and at times the organisms without even fusion starts developing, because in we have seen in the, you could say, cloning or some other test tube baby themes also, at times the development is induced by means of some chemicals or electric shock waves. So similar is the case with these animals. At times, due to increase in temperature or due to exposure of some chemical or due to unavailability of male partner, this is a way of adaptation through which progeny is produced, because we all know the main purpose of reproduction is continuity of species. So in a way, it's an adaptation through which the animal progeny adapts to the given circumstances. Now, the definite advantage of this mode is that it helps organism to tide over unfavorable situation. It helps them in evolution, even though this point becomes a little debatable, because more or less when organism is undergoing parthenogenesis, it has features of only one parent, because there is possibility of this being developing into a female or a male partner. That's an open-ended theme. When organism is a male developed through parthenogenesis, the process is known as henotoky, whereas when a female develops through this similar means, the technical term is thyllotoky, even though such technical terms may not find usage in your general studies preparation. But you have to be clear in the concept that birth given through parthenogenesis could be of either gender. And the male angle is not significant when the female is reproducing through parthenogenesis, because it's a majorly a asexual mode of reproduction which is reflected in the sexual reproducing organs. The other advantage is it offers a comparatively it's an easy method, neither too technical, and you could say easy for an animal process as well. And moreover, it helps in continuity of species. So these are some of the basic advantages. The only disadvantage is that these organisms may not be too well adapted in longer run, or you could say the sexual mode of reproduction is better adapted to changing environment, because species which is carrying the genes of both the parents at times is better acclimatized to the vagaries of environment. And we have seen that asexual reproducing organisms at times are not too competent or evolved enough to meet the emergency situations. So in a long run, the both modes take place. It doesn't mean that the future of the species is going to reproduce asexual through this mean. This is one of the aberration which takes place to tide over unfavorable situation. Otherwise, normally we will see that the main mode of reproduction remains the same in higher organisms. So as a GS aspirant, the only topics which in background you can study are what are the features of a crocodile, why it is most considered more advanced reptile, which we have already decoded, that it has a 4-chamber heart, even though it still is a cold-blooded species, because it's a foramen through which exchange of pure and impure blood takes place. And then the IUCN status of the crocodile has to be reviewed, even though comparatively now the current crocodile species, American crocodile, which is in picture due to this limelight, is currently comparatively in safe category of vulnerable. And India also has all 3 crocodiles, right from the fresh water to salt water. And Ghadial, there was a question in UPSC about Ghadial of the Chambal river. So make sure, and in Punjab also we have seen the reintroduction of iconic Ghadial species, which was once declared extinct. So make sure when the species related to biodiversity is in news, make sure you just not limit it to the current term. Make sure you revise all the facts which are available with you. And also there we have seen the Triassic Jurassic phase from which this species evolved, and it still continues to amaze the individuals. And more or less, it is a carnivorous attacking species. Its presence represents that ecosystem is functioning in a healthy way. It's a keystone species. More or less, it keeps the check of prey in check. And India has a sufficient number of, you could say, reserves currently created for preservation of this species. In terms of sciences, make sure you are clear about the basics of asexual and sexual modes of reproduction. Comparatively, the basic methods of asexual reproduction, there is no harm in going quickly through binary fission, budding, which we cover in the lower species of protozoans and you could say prokaryotes. And if you are from science background, make sure you even go through the concept of meiosis, mitosis. In mitosis, the chromosome number remains in meiosis. There is reduction of chromosome number to half, and at the time of the new gamete formation or the zygote formation, the chromosome restores its original number. If you are not from science background, more or less you can skip those chromosome technical part. You could just limit that what are the total number of chromosomes, what are the total number of genes, what are the total number of, you could say, the nucleotide sequences or the codons required for protein synthesis. Okay, more or less that part has been covered in our basic lecture. So basically, this is what we had to cover in this headline making news, that the first time a virgin birth reported in the species of a crocodile. So we have tried to cover the basic angle. And once again, the short summary would be that whenever a sexually reproducing organism in unfavorable situation but reproduces through asexual means, like without undergoing, you could say, fertilization, without the requirement of a male partner, the term is technically described as parthenogenesis. So I hope the basic queries related to the virgin birth and parthenogenesis are clear. If you have any query which you feel has not been addressed in this lecture, feel free to connect. I will take up all the genuine queries listed here. So I hope this small session on current updates of science and tech was useful. Make sure you also go through the previous themes because they were equally important. Like we covered recently carbon 14 and calcium 41 dating technique as well. And we will be continuing this series in coming weeks as well. So every week, the most you could say that topic relevant from examination point of view, from prelims or main perspective, would be taken for discussion. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.